First in a series of lectures on the current crisis in Iran, a crisis that, as we know, was precipitated by the presidential election held on June 12, 2009, the year 1388. The Islamic calendar. The players, we've met already. Just not a bad idea to go over them again. The main reformist challenger, Mir Hussein Mousavi. The alleged victor of the election, the conservative hardline Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who is supported by the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Supporting Mousavi, among others, former President Mohammad Khatami, reformist, elected in 1997, and perhaps much more importantly, Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, president from 1989 to 1997, but as we are going to see, a man who holds many of the keys to the kingdom, possibly even more than the supreme leader himself, Khamenei. What we have here is is kind of a cartoon flowchart of power in the Iranian government. On the right side of the screen, you have the elected side of the equation. You have the 290-member parliament, or Majlis, as it is known in Farsi. The president, here depicted as Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who serves a maximum of 3 terms, no more than 2 consecutively, which is why Khatami and Rafsanjani were actually running for president in this election, despite the fact they had already served 2 terms. What we're also going to look at in this lecture is the Guardian Council, the Expediency Council, and what's known as the Assembly of Experts, here all circled in red. This system is not unlike England circa 1700, as it was inching its way towards a representative democracy. The king in England circa 1700 was still a very powerful figure. Parliament was his advice council. The word parliament comes from the French word to speak. It's a place to speak together. However, by 1800, the king in England was well on his way to becoming a figurehead, and it was the elected parliament and its prime minister who were the real power in England after that point, especially after the middle of the 19th century. What we have in Iran is a situation that's much closer to Tudor England, in which the king, in this case the supreme leader, the Veli-i-Faqih, is the person who holds ultimate authority, control over the military, the judicial system, the media, Iran TV, or I should say Press TV, go to presstv.ir, see their lovely website, and also the IRIB, the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting Company. So this is the overview. Let's get into the details. We'll start with the Majlis. We've met this already in the excerpts from the Iranian Constitution. Article 58, the function of the legislature to be exercised through the Islamic Consultative Assembly, or Majlis, in Farsi, consisting of the elected representatives of the people. Legislation approved by this body, after going through the stages specified in the articles below, is communicated to the executive, the president, and the judiciary for implementation. Again, as I said earlier, this system has echoes of our own tripartite federal system, in which you have a judiciary, an executive, and a legislature, all separate from each other and all responsible to each other. Article 64 sets the number of members of the Consultative Assembly at 270. In the year 2000, that number was increased to 290 to make allocations for the large increase in population that Iran has experienced since the 1979 revolution. A large boom in population helps to explain why 70% of Iranians are under age 30. In other words, 70% of the country was born after the revolution and does not remember the revolution. Touching on one of the questions from the exam, differences between Iran and Saudi Arabia. In Iran, women can vote, and in fact there are 12 women in the Islamic Consultative Assembly. Not an enormous number, to be sure, but after all, how many women actually serve in the American Congress? Not all that many, especially in the Senate chamber. This is the Parliament, the Majlis, the Islamic Consultative Assembly. With the Islamic Consultative Assembly, the Majlis does not operate independently. The Guardian Council signs off on, approves, or disqualifies legislation emanating from the Majlis. Moreover, the Guardian Council is also responsible for vetting candidates for public office. In the 2001 parliamentary elections, fully 40% of the candidates who expressed their formal desire to run were prevented from running for office by the Guardian Council. The Guardian Council is made up of 12 members, 6 of whom are appointed directly by the Supreme Leader himself, the Veli-i-Faqih, in this case, the Ayatollah Khamenei. They must be Ayatollahs themselves. We've discussed this before, but it bears repeating. The title Ayatollah refers to someone in Shia Islam who has reached the highest levels of theological study and jurisprudential study, Sharia, that religious law that is based upon the Quran and based upon the Hadith, the sayings of the Prophet. The other 6 members of the Guardian Council are voted on by the Majlis from a set of candidates given to them from the Iranian Supreme Court. These 6 members of the Guardian Council appointed by the Majlis are laymen. They are not clerics. Both the Ayatollahs and the lay jurists, the lawyers, the civil lawyers, serve on the Guardian Council for a 6-year term. The Guardian Council is a very powerful entity on the clerical side of the equation, despite the fact that there are 6 laymen on the Guardian Council. It is basically a religious body.